Hey YouTube, Bullets for Freedom and Liberty here. So, I figured I've got some lead to stack. I just pulled it up off the, I cast all my ingots at a different location, obviously not inside my shop, just for obvious reasons. But just finished up another, I think I did 200, a little over 230 pounds, reloading my, my lead wall is what I call it. So, but I wanted to take a minute as I do this to talk about a question that I found on the casting and reloading page on Facebook. I do some with Facebook. I'm not a big fan of Facebook just because of their politics and their they like to squash freedom of speech. I'm a big firm believer in give me liberty or give me death, obviously. But this question arose the other day, or last night, or whenever it was, and it was a guy that came on and made a comment about, I want to get into casting, or not casting, I want to get into reloading. And I just can't justify it with the cost of ammo. And I figured, you know, I read some of the comments, and there were some lengthy ones, and, you know, that's great. And a lot of us old-timers, I've been reload now for about 15 years, and I wouldn't say I'm old or an old-timer yet, but the question is a legitimate one, because there's a lot of people that watch these YouTube videos and have a lot of questions, and I think this was a great question. And he basically wanted to justify, and he lived in an apartment and so on and so forth, and he was looking for what kind of equipment to get, and you know, because he didn't have a house yet, so he's living in an apartment, which is a legitimate question. And I sort of chimed in, and I wanted to take it one step further tonight while I'm restocking my lead, and now that I've got it in the reloading room here. So the question again is, how can I justify spending the money on all of the reloading gear when I live in an apartment and ammo is so cheap? The first thought that came to my mind when he said ammo was so cheap was great. Ammo is cheap right now. Absolutely. You can go into any gun range. I know our gun range sells 9mm, and I use 9mm as an example. 9mm, 1,000 rounds, 199 bucks. Or I'm sorry, 219. I can go down to my Ace hardware store here in town where I live, and the owner is a good friend of mine, and he sells Blazer ammunition, factory ammo, 199 bucks for 1,000. 19 cents a round. Kick-ass deal. So, my point is, for those of you who have been reloading a long time or have been shooting a long time like most of us have, go back to the late mid-90s when the rapist Bill Clinton was in office, and in and amongst all of his sexual scandals and all the other crap. Do y'all remember what ammo prices were, if you can even get it? Look at the last 8 years. That guy in office was probably the biggest gun and ammunition salesman this country's ever seen. And anytime our liberties and freedoms are threatened, what happens? The price of guns go up, the price of ammo goes up. And when you have a guy that walks into a sporting goods shop and says, oh crap, these shelves are bare, and he buys up as much as he can, and then the next guy comes in, and he's like, oh crap, he sees they're bare, the shelves are bare, and what does he do? The exact same thing. So this goes on and on and on, and everybody blames the ammunition manufacturers and you know, saying they're not producing, or the government's buying up all the ammo. That I know for a fact, that the government, DHS and Homeland Security and all the other alphabet soup piece of crap organizations they're buying up guns and ammo, which is fine. The thing is, I'm a firm believer in factory ammo. Yes, I reload. Yes, I shoot a lot. But I do believe in factory ammo when the price is right. When you can go buy 1,000 rounds of 9mm for 199 bucks. Dude, that is a cheap ass date. That is a cheap date right there. 1,000 rounds. But in my world, and in a lot of our worlds, when the wife and I go out and shoot, we go to the range for a day or 2 days, we're shooting 4 or 5, 6, 700 rounds, depending on if it's a steel shoot or if it's an action shoot, or whether we're just out plinking. I can't justify shooting factory ammo for that. But what I can do is I could justify shooting cast lead at half a penny a piece. Whole different topic. So when it comes to factory ammo, stock up. When it comes to reloading, it's a personal choice. The poor guy lives in an apartment. One day he'll have a house. I recommend it. Start out small. Start out with a small single stage press. I don't care if it's Lee or RCBS or Lyman or Hornady or a Dillon. The choice is obviously each individual person. Somebody asked me, well, what about the zombie apocalypse? Well, guys, when was the last time you walked into a restaurant? Let's say you're going out to dinner with your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, and you look at the table next to you, and they're on a date, and they're thumb cramped. They're sitting there in front of they're in front of their damn phones. I believe we're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. What we haven't experienced yet is, well, the civil unrest, whether it happens in Charlottesville, Virginia, or anywhere else. That's just the most recent one. But we're in a zombie apocalypse because everybody's pretty much walking around brain dead with their damn phones. But what happens if we go grid down? What happens if we don't have access to the ammunition that we have for our guns? See, my belief is, and Bullets for Freedom and Liberty is a place where I want to share this kind of information, because I would rather have this and not need it than need it and not have it. Do you remember when 22 long rifle was $9 for a box of 500? When it went up to $20 or $35, $38, I think was the highest I remember seeing it back during the Obama administration. I realized that a 22 long rifle, or a 9mm, or a 45, or 357, why can't this be currency? Why can't a box of 50 9mm that you loaded, you already know, if you're a reloader, you already have the specs on the powder, the grain, the weight of the bullet, how much powder, what primer's in there. You already know that round is going to fire because you made it right. Why couldn't you take 50 rounds of ammunition? That could be worth $50 in current terms. A box of 22, or hell, 5 22 long rifles. See, one of the greatest books I've ever read was 151 Things to Do Before the Revolution by Claire B. Wolfe. And I think you can still get that book through, I think it's backwoodshome.com. But she talks about all of the things, whether it's drugs, whether it's pharmaceutical drugs. I'm not a drug user. I've never desired any of that. I shoot bullets. But she lists out 151 things to do and what people need in a crisis situation and what people will pay for or how they'll barter. So I look at a stockpile of lead, whether it's already processed ingots, whether it's sitting in a melting pot right here waiting to be cast into a magical projectile that we can then add to the powder into this beautiful case and add this, and for a few minutes of our time be able to, and again obviously that's not set, but to be able to take the components and have the knowledge and the ability to take these individual components that we stockpile and turn them into something that is tangible, that is something that could be possibly in demand. So to answer his question, how can he justify it? My question to him would be, how could you not justify reloading? This isn't for everybody, guys, especially the casting aspect of it. It's cheaper, it's easier to get a hold of Rainier Bullets or Freedom Munitions and buy a box of 500 bullets. Hell, I do. I've got cases of them sitting over here. But having the cast lead to practice with at a fraction of the cost compared to the factory ammo, which you could use for actual need or for barter, I think that's where it's at. So my 2 cents worth is reloading's not for everybody. It's easier for some people just to go buy it, and that's great. But for those of us who like to think long term, I think lead is the new currency, or will be the new currency, along with gold and silver. Even though you can't eat it, you can barter and trade for it, or if you have to, take by force. I mean, I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying. I know there's a lot of groups out there that are really angry about, you know, white guys or what, you know, whatever this whole new media bullshit is out there now. So I just wanted to share that with you and pass that on with the Facebook guy and the question that he was asking, how can you justify it? How can you not? So there it is, Bullets for Freedom and Liberty. Guys, I'm looking forward to it. I'm flying solo this weekend. My wife and her girlfriends are down at the Weimar Music Festival in Central Oregon with 5 million other people getting ready for that damn solar eclipse. So if you're down there, wish you guys the best of luck, but I appreciate the fact you guys are tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, editorials, post them below. Remember that lead causes cancer in the state of California, so those of you guys down there, be really careful with this. Hope you have a great day, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks again.